Hi, lower multi-age art students. It is me, Mr. Smith, and we're gonna do a video about our current project, which is a clay ice cream cone. Okay, now this is mainly for remote students. So remote students who are not at school, you guys can watch this with your parents, and your parents can help you. But I mean, if you want to watch it, you get some ideas, and you're just going to meet in my regular art class, then I'll see you in art class. But you don't have to watch this if I'm going to see you in art class. So let's get started. I'm just saying hello, and I'm going to move the camera so that it is on my clay. Okay, so here we go. I got my camera on a tripod here. Here we go. All right, let's see here. Okay, so this is what we have. You're going to get a clay slab, and um, let's talk about the materials first. So you're going to have a clay. Yours is probably going to be more of like a rectangle, like a block. Okay, so you're going to have a block. You're going to get a popsicle stick, and you are going to get a yellow cube. And if you have a paper clip, I forgot to get a paper clip. Let me see if I got one over here. Ooh, I do. If you have a paper clip, I'm not going to send a paper clip home, but if you have a paper clip, this will help you, your parent, put your name on the back of your clay ice cream cone. Okay? So parents, I'm going to need you to very carefully scratch your student's name, just first name, into their ice cream cone, and then that way I know it's your project. You can't use a marker or anything because the kiln burns off any ink, so you actually have to scratch it in on the back. Okay, but we'll talk about that shortly. Okay, boy. Okay, parents, hopefully you're watching this with your remote student because it can be a little tricky. One thing you want to keep in mind is you want to put something down because this is going to be messy, and I apologize, remote students, but I figure this would be a lot of fun to do. And so just with some precautions, this can still be a very fun project. Now, this ceramic clay will dry if left out in the air, right? So it takes a little while for it to dry out, but it will dry out. And you want to have something to put down because it's going to get all messy. I've got this cutting board. The problem is you're probably going to ruin your cutting board, so I don't recommend you use a cutting board unless you have an old ruined cutting board. Like my daughter used this for her ceramics class, and this cutting board got ruined, but hey, now I can use it, right? And so if you have an old piece of thick cardboard would be nice. That way it won't lift up. You could use wax paper. The problem is wax paper is going to like lift up. So canvas, I don't know, paper, or just a big sheet of plastic, I don't know. But like cardboard probably works best because you can just throw it away when you're done. So whatever you have at home to protect your table is great. Just remember, like wax paper might be a pain because it might lift up and be frustrating, right? Anyways, I sent this home. I don't know if for some reason you don't have it. Hopefully you have a popsicle stick at home. This cool cube, send this home when you're done too, because I got a lot of these, but still I don't want to run out of these. So just send it home with your clay, and that way I can use it for other students can use it too. So, but anyways, this little cube, it's a counting cube, but it's going to be great for some texture. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to flatten out our clay. Okay, and so what you can do is you can just kind of squash it down. Parents can help your students if they're younger and they need to, but you want to kind of press down. You can even do this. You can even just kind of pinch it and kind of press it down. The real trick is to use a rolling pin. So mom or dad, if you got a rolling pin, that's going to work the best. If you don't want your student to use your rolling pin, you only have a nice one, that's fine. You can try to press it down really well. It's kind of tricky though, but it's not impossible. You just may need to help them. Now, it's hard to see. Let's see. Am I getting cracks? If you get cracks like this, you can smooth it out with a little bit of water. I failed to mention you need to have a little bit of water in a disposable cup you can throw away. You don't want to use a lot of water, but you want to have it on hand. and then a rolling pin. If you don't want to use your rolling pin, it's going to get yucky, and you're just going to have to clean it really well when you're done. But a rolling pin will work if you're like, I'm not letting my kid use my rolling pin. That's fine, I understand. It's not mandatory, it's just very helpful, right? Okay, but anyways, you can flatten it kind of pretty good. And you want, when you flatten it, parents, you might help your student. You want to kind of flatten it like a thin rectangle like this. Like not a circle, but like a rectangle kind of. And maybe even better yet, you want it to be kind of rounded on one end. It doesn't have to be rounded yet, like I'll show you. But you want it to be kind of a rectangle, because we want to be long and skinny. Not super skinny, like long and skinny, but you'll see. So something like this. So you're going to kind of flatten it down. You want to have about this thickness, students and parents, right? So it's about like that. Okay, then I'm going to put it down here. Actually, I'm going to put it like this so I can show you rolling it. And then you want to use a rolling pin. So let's see, we've got rolling pin action here. It will make your rolling pin kind of gross. So, you know, like I said, just be forewarned, mom and dad. But you could probably clean it pretty good. Like I'm using this without my wife's permission. Isn't that nice of me? But I'll clean it really well. I don't think she'll mind. She's a teacher, so she loves students, so anything for them. So you can see how it's flattened, and it's kind of rounded is good. If it's not rounded, we can kind of trim it off so it's rounded, but that's going to be the shape of our ice cream, right? But we do want to cut away some of this excess. We're going to make like a cone, right? So you probably want it about this thick. I don't know, it's like, how thick is that? That's a pretty thick cookie. It's a pretty thick cookie. You don't want it too thin because then it'll be unwieldy. And let's see, I got some cracks in here. So you can use a little bit of water, not a lot of water, students and parents, just a teeny bit. You don't want to, because if you get this thing too wet, you won't be able to pick it up off your table. Unless it's on a piece of paper or cardboard, you can kind of peel it off, which is kind of nice. But if you're doing this on like a table, which I don't recommend, but you know, or a granite, if you use too much water, it'll stick. So what I recommend is just pick it up occasionally, so that way you know it's not permanently sticking to your table. But if you're doing it on paper, it's fine. Okay, but anyways, you can see I got some cracks in here. So here's how much water you're going to use. You're just barely going to touch your fingers just in the water, just like that. That's all the water you need, maybe less. And then you can just kind of smooth out some of that, those wrinkles, like those cracks and stuff like that. And look, I got some big cracks here. Let's see. See that? That's no good. So I'm just going to you can just kind of use your fingers and kind of smear it together. But they need to be moist, a teeny bit of water. So let's see if I can put this. I don't want to spill this on my keyboard. Oh, you're not going to be able to see it anyways. So I'm going to get a teeny bit of water, just a teeny bit. And you're just going to, so like you barely need no water, students, like practically none. In fact, some big shot pottery instructors are like practically no water, or like just don't even give them water. Don't give them water. So keep that in mind. You barely need any. You need just enough to kind of smear it, and it almost like dries, like while you're doing it, like while you're rubbing it, it almost dries. Like that's how much water you want. Like enough where it kind of dries while you're doing it. And you can kind of see I'm kind of smearing it so it's a little smoother. So that's pretty good. That's good enough. Okay, so now I guess I'm going to do it like this. So it's rounded here. If it's not super rounded, I'll show you what you can do, but mine's pretty round, so I'm going to leave it. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use our popsicle stick. Our popsicle stick is a nice, safe way to cut our clay, right? We don't need a knife, you know, just a popsicle stick is great. And you can also get some kind of nice texture with these things too. I recommend maybe, you don't have to dip it in water, but I don't know, I just get it a little wet. Just kind of dry it off. Okay. So what you want to do is, in fact, well, I was gonna cut it. You can almost just lay it on and then just press down and cut away. It's about, you want to imagine a scoop of ice cream. So a scoop of ice cream. So you want to leave, I don't know, it's about a third. So it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like, it's like that. So it's like a third on top. And then you're just going to like kind of press down. You could just like cut it, or you could just press down, and you're just going to press down into that clay, or you press down, or you can just cut it. My hand's in the way. You just cut it and you take that away. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side, and you'll see that that will make the cone shape, right? You're like, that's amazing. It is amazing. You could press in. I'm going to press in just to get my mark, but I'm actually just going to cut it. Let's see. I got a camera in my way. There. So it's like, wow, that was easy. I'm going to lift it up so you can see, oh yeah, that looks like an ice cream. Now, if for some reason this was kind of squared off a little, you could kind of trim, you can kind of like make it rounded, like you can kind of cut off some more like that. It's perfectly okay. In fact, it looks better if it's not perfectly round. Like here you can kind of see I've got, I don't know, it's kind of, ice cream melts and it's not perfectly round. So what a great project for younger students, right? This doesn't even have to be perfect. So it looks, I think it looks better not perfectly round. You're like, okay, Mr. Smith, get on with it. Yeah, I know. Okay. Now, like I said, if you have some cracks, you can use a little bit of water, but I'm talking, remember, like barely none. Like you get your finger wet, barely. Oh, look, I dripped. See, that's too much. And then you can just but you don't even need, you only need to do this if you've got cracks. I don't really have any, but you would like kind of do it. And then you could even, I don't know, you normally wouldn't wipe it off, but you could if it's too wet. I don't know. You wouldn't normally do that. Normally you just wipe it off with your hand. Okay. Pretty good. Now it's time for our cube. We want to make, well, before we do this, let's make kind of like we don't want to dig in deep, but we just want to make a line where our cone is going to be. And so here, you just want to mark it, and let's see. Let's make it rounded. Let's go like this. So I'm just going to round it. Kind of like, so it's kind of like, it's not a perfect circle, but it's spherical, right? It's kind of rounded. So parents, you might help. So it's rounded, right? Make sure you have enough cone. If your cone is too short or too long, that's totally fine. It'll look great. And we're going to paint this eventually. So it's kind of rounded. Okay, great. So now I didn't press down very hard. You don't want to press down hard because you might cut it away. You don't want to do that. So I just very gently just put a mark there. That way I know that that's where my ice cream is. I'm going to turn it on its side so that we can see it. Now, I got my cube. You want to get your cube a little wet. So I'm going to dip it in water. That way it won't stick to the, well, it's too wet now, so I can wipe it. But you want it kind of moist. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to press down, and this is going to give us a texture of our cone. So you're going to press down. Now, how far do you press down? Not too far. Oh boy, and it kind of sticks. You have to kind of pull it up. Let's see, how deep is that, parents? Deep enough where you can see the relief. Like you really want to see that relief, but you don't want to press it down too far because then you might punch a hole in your cone, or it might get weak. Like it might make your cone really weak if it has all these like really deep holes, and then it might fall apart. So just be super careful. And then we're going to follow this curvy edge. So I'm going to go cone here. Ugh. Leave a little space because there's like little, I don't know, like a waffle texture in between, right? So cone here, or it's like a box. Box. If you run out of room, then I guess you don't have to do it. Box. Now, sometimes, I'm going to do this when I'm done, but sometimes I go back in and press it down a little more. Like this one's not very deep, so I just press it down just a teeny bit, just to get. And if it's a little imperfect, like, like see how there's a little mark in there? Don't worry about it. Or like, see that little mark right there? You can probably smooth it, but don't worry about that stuff. Ice cream cones are very, they're imperfect, right? Okay, so now I want to press down again. Now you want to create, we're making these little grid lines in between. So I'm going to go here, right? Pressing in. Here my cube is mostly dry, and so it's working pretty good. It's not sticking too hard. So don't keep sticking it in water. I think you just wanted to get a little bit of water to begin with, but it kind of stuck in, right? But now it's drying, so it's pretty good. So you don't want to press it right on top. You want to leave a little bit of a space to press in that next cube. You want to leave this little, I don't know, it's like a little road. It's like a track in between. You don't want to press too close. You want to leave a mark. So your parent can help you, student. Okay. Oop. And if it's too big like that, don't worry about it. I was trying to make it fit. Now look, here it's like Do I put a little corner there? If you like. I'm going to do it just to show you, so I'll just put a little bit there. Yeah. See how it's starting to look like a waffle cone? You're like, boy, I want to go get a waffle cone. I agree. You should go get one. You should say, hey, Mom and Dad, can I get an ice cream? They'll be like, no. Oh. Maybe they'll say yes. I don't know. Okay. Like I'm running out of room here, but I definitely I'll just put one right here. Okay. You're like, wow, that looks amazing. It does. Don't worry if it's not perfect. I'm the art teacher, so if I make this look easy, great. But don't worry. Imperfections are totally fine. One thing you can do, though, is you can just press in, down a little bit to kind of try to get these a little deeper. But remember, not too deep. I guess for technical information, how far am I going down? I'm probably going about a third down, parents. I'm probably going down a third down. About that much. See how thick that is? Because you don't want your cone to like fall apart. And remember, sometimes it's good to pick it up once in a while, especially if you're on a hard surface, like a table. Pick it up so that way it's not permanently sticking to your, and try not to grab it, right? But you can just kind of very carefully hold it. That's pretty good. So we're done. If you don't like chocolate chip or cookies and cream, maybe you just like a nice strawberry flavor, then you're done. You just leave it plain and we can paint it. We just paint it we'll paint this in ceramic glazes. So you're like, I want it to be just chocolate. Okay, that's great. But if you do want to do like a chocolate chip or something like that, you can. So I'll show you, but remember, you don't have to do any more if you just don't want a nice solid color for your ice cream. Like I like what's it called? Oh boy, it's sherbet. I like rainbow sherbet, and that's usually a smooth texture. So like if you want to do something like an orange sherbet or a rainbow sherbet, you might just leave it like this, and then we'll paint it some different colors and it'll look like rainbow sherbet. But if you want to do chocolate chip or mint chip or something like that, we have some extra clay. So we have extra clay here. And so what we can do is we can put some chips down on our ice cream. Now remember, you don't have to do this if you don't want to, okay? So, but you know what? Before we do the chips, let me just remind you, because some of your parents are going to you're going to want to tune out. You're like, okay, I'm done. I'm not doing that. I want to stress, let's put your name on the back of your cone. If you're careful, you might just kind of lay it on, if it's not too slimy, and it's just kind of, like in this, if it feels like this, you can probably just put it carefully down. And mom or dad or other parent, you want to definitely, you want to put your name, your student's name, in the cone, on the back of the cone, right? Now, you could try to just carve it with this. This will probably work. Sometimes you can just use the rounded part and do it. Let me try it. Well, I don't know. I'm going to carve it. I'll carve it. So here I go. And so make it kind of big. So I'm just going to go, Mr. Oh, this works really good. This works too good. We use something else at school, a poker. This works better. See how big I'm making it? Ooh, don't poke down too far. Okay. There. So just carve your name, not too deep, but parent, you can help your student. You can just do it. In fact, parent, please just do it if you're watching. You want to put your name there. Why? Because if you use a marker, like when it dries, the kiln will burn it off. Like you won't even see it, and I won't know whose name it is. So you actually have to carve it in. You only have to put a last initial if, like, just first name. So just first name, last initial. I don't think there's any duplicate. To my knowledge, I don't think we have any duplicate students. So you just put your first name, right? And that's it. That's all. Just put, Joey or whatever, whoever it is, okay? So that helps out a lot. So if that's all you're going to do, if you're going to have smooth ice cream, then you're done. You want to kind of leave this outside to dry. Don't put this back in the bag because it won't dry. You want to kind of just put this in the sun. If you have wax paper, you can put wax paper underneath it and just leave it outside to dry. that works the best. Wax paper or tin foil, I guess. And you'll know it's dry. Right now it's like a gray. It'll become a real light gray. So don't bring it back to school until it is a nice light gray, and then you can give it to Mrs. Davis or drop it off in the office. But usually pick up stuff from Mrs. Davis. So just give it to her, and then we will. I don't know. Maybe, boy, am I going to send home glaze to you? You know what? Hold on to it, remote students. Hold on to it, and maybe I'll just send some colors home so you can paint it. So I'll do that. I think I'll do that. So keep it at home. Never mind what I said. Bring it to school. Keep it at home. Okay. Now, chocolate chips. Once you want to do chocolate chips, you're like, oh, it's easy. You just kind of do it. No, no, no. No, 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 no. There's a trick. Because what happens is if you do this, if you're like, oh, you barely put it on, that chip is going to fall off. It's just going to fall off like that. Like, what? My chocolate chips fell off. So there's a trick on how to do it. First, you want this to be a little wet. Now, actually, you want to be wet where you're going to put your chips. Like, oh, I want to put one there, maybe a little wet there. But I just recommend you just kind of make it a little wet overall. So, but not super wet, but it's kind of, it's tacky. It gets tacky, meaning it's a little sticky. Then you want to get kind of like, I don't know, kind of like a glob like this. Parents, you watch. Because you want to press it down. If you don't press it down, now don't press it down so it's smashed, but you don't just want to put it on like that. That's going to fall off. What you want to do is, and actually, technically, if you get this a little wet, I don't think that's necessary. But you can get this a little wet. Here, I'll get a little water here. That a little wet. So the wet on the wet makes it stick, but you got to press down. You got to really press it down. Don't totally smash it down, but press it down so that it's on there, right? Because otherwise it might pop off. In fact, some of these may still pop off, and that's just the way it's going to be. But the trick is to really press it down. Now, the technical way, and I don't think you have to do this, parents, but technically, this is how you would do it. You would be like, okay, wet, wet, and then they have this trick where they call it like scoring. You kind of put a little bit, you kind of mess it up there a little bit, and then you kind of mess it up a little on this. And then what happens is that gives it like a surface to grip to that. Now, I'm just showing you the technicality. I don't think you have to do this. And then you really press it down, and that will really stick that thing on, right? So if you're an overachiever, or your mom is like forcing you to do it that way, technically that is the safest, and you press and still press down pretty good. That is technically a better way to kind of cement that piece down to this. I just don't want, like I said, I just don't want you to go like this, like, there it's on. No, that thing's popping off, right? So you really just want to, I think if you get the general area kind of moist, just a little wet, not a lot of water, and then you get a nice chip, decent size, not too small. They have to be kind of big, kind of like that. And then you really just press it down, like really just give it a good press. Don't totally press it in so you see there's like a dent, but that's going to stay on. That's going to stay on pretty good. And you probably want them bigger than you think, because you're going to have to paint these. So now you probably think, that's not realistic, Mr. Smith. A chip would probably be like that big, right? Well, you're probably right. A chip would be small like that, but that will be very difficult to paint. So if you have bigger chips, they'll be easier to paint. So let's see. I'm gonna get a teeny bit. I'm gonna put a little bit of water there, a little bit of water there. I'm not gonna score it. I mean, but you could. You're like, my mom's a ceramics teacher, and she says she should. Yeah, okay, yeah, technically, yeah, that's right. This will be good enough. You just want to press it down. Do I have enough chocolate chips? They're all too perfect. I think they're okay. They're cute is what they are. Sometimes, and now chips aren't perfectly round either. You might, I don't know, you can maybe make them like, you can kind of press on the sides so they look more chip-like. Or if you want them to be like more rounder and be more cute, that's fine too. I don't care what your chocolate chips look like. But I want to make mine more kind of chunky, so I'm like using the side of my popsicle stick, and I'm just kind of pressing. Ooh, this thing's kind of moving around. That kind of freaks me out. You can kind of press down on it too, so it's a little flatter, and then kind of give it a corner. Like you just kind of press in on it, so it looks kind of more angled. Look, and it has this little excess here. I can maybe smooth that out. There, smooth it out a little. That's pretty good. So that looks kind of nice. Another trick you might do, I think this looks better though, but you might just press down and you might get some, like, it'll look like sprinkles. So like if you just press down, I'm not gonna, here, I'll just do it here. Here we go. So let's say this is my ice cream. Let's see what it looks like. I actually haven't tried this yet. I assume it's gonna look good. You're like, well, I want to do sprinkles. Can I just do this? Yeah, you could do this too. Now the problem is you're not really going to be able to paint these sprinkles. You're not really going to be able to paint them. But it's a nice texture. So if you just want to, if you don't want to do these, but you want to press in, you could do something like that. I don't know. I like smooth better. Smooth. Chocolate chips. Cube for that. But that's it. That's the end of our project. So you can throw away the rest of this clay, or you can, I forgot, you do need to send this to school so I can fire it before we paint it. So you do need to send this back to school. So let this dry, and send it to school when it's a light gray and it's fully dry. Then I have to bake it in the kiln. Then I'll send it home with some colors, okay? And you can request a color. I'm going to send you a color for your cone, but if you want to do strawberry, say, can I have strawberry? You can have two colors for your ice cream. So if you want to do like dark brown for your chips and green for mint chip, that's great. Or if you want to do white, you can do, like, you want to do regular chocolate chip, you can do white and dark brown, right? So let me know what colors, two colors. You can only have, because it's a pain to send them home. I'll send you three because one color is going to be your cone and two colors for your ice cream. If you only need one color for your ice cream, that's okay too. Just say, I just want brown for chocolate, right? Let me know what color you want, but send this home when it's dry. Because I have to bake it. Then I'll send it back to you so you can paint it. Then you're going to send it back to school again, and then I'll fire up that glaze paint in the kiln, and it will be beautiful. Okay? So let this dry, send it home. I'm sorry, send it back to school, and then I'll fire it up for you. Great. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a good week. Bye.